is lesson 2 of week 1. I'm Mildred Fakoya, your instructor for this course. In this lesson, we are going to look at the head elements in detail. Now, recall in the last lesson, we discussed the basic structure of an HTML5 document, and we said that we have two parts of the document. We have the head part and the body part. Now, the head part consists of metadata. Now, metadata is not displayed on the web page. It defines things like the page title, scripts, links to external files, character sets, styles, and so on. And so we are going to look at the tags that comes between the head elements of the document. The first tag we are going to look at is the title tag, written title. It has an end tag, so I can start title and end title. Now, between the start and the end title tag comes the text that you want to see on the browser window or the browser tag. Now, what the title tag does is that it defines the title for the page. Now, let's say I want this document to have the title, let's say course to home. I'm going to save this document and I will save it on my desktop as, let's say, index.html. Now, if you are using a text editor that does not automatically add the extension, you have to add the extension .html. If not, it is going to be saved as a text file, and I'll click on save. And so I'm going to open my page with a browser, and so I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to get the document and I'm going to open it with Google Chrome. Now I have the document coming on. You can see on the browser window the title of this document is Course to Home. This is because the title of the document between the title tag is Course to Home. If I change this to Hello and I save, when I refresh my page, I'm going to see the title as Hello. So this is how we use the title tag within the head part of the document. There is another element called the style element that is placed within the head part of the document. It has an end tag, and so between the start and the end style tag, all your style definition that you want to embed on the page should come. Now we are going to look at the style tag in more detail when we introduce cascading style sheets, but just take note that the style tag comes between the head part of the document. We have another tag called the script tag. It also has an end tag. So between the start and end script tag, you'll have your JavaScript code for the page. So either you write your code between the start and end script tag, or you provide a link to an external script file that the page will need. We are going to look at script tag in details when we introduce JavaScript. Now, there are two other tags we are going to look at, but these tags are void elements. The first one is the link tag, written like this, and the second is the meta tag, written like this. Both tags do not have closing tags. You can't use them like this. They require something called attributes to function. Now let's take a look at what attributes are. Now, attributes provide additional information or functionality to an element, and they are usually included in the start tag of the element, which means that not only void elements take attributes. Elements that have end tag also take attributes, and they are placed in the start tag of the element. They are written in name value pairs, the name of the attribute equal the value of the attributes. Now, it is good practice to quote the values of attributes. So we are going to look at the attributes that we are going to include on the link tag. The first attribute we are going to look at is an attribute called the href attribute. It is written like this. So you put a space and write href. Href is short for hypertext reference. Now, what this does is that it provides the address or the name of the file that we want to link. Let's say we have a file called some file.css that we want to include on the page. There is another required attribute for the link tag called the rel attribute. The rel is short for relationship, and what this attribute does is that it shows the relationship that the file to be linked has with the file from which it is referenced. And so the relationship is that it is a style sheet. There's another required attribute called the type, and this type just shows the media type of the file. And because the file is either going to be a text file or a cascading style sheet file, we're going to write text/css. And these are the attributes that the link tag takes. So this is what attribute does. Attribute name is equal to the attribute value. And so the link tag gets its definition based on the attribute defined in it. So we have the meta tag also. I'm going to delete this, and we're going to revisit this in our cascading style sheet lessons. Now, the meta tag holds things like the character set for the page, it holds the description for the page, it holds keywords for search engines. You can use it to refresh a page, to set cookies, and to take control of the viewport in HTML5, which is used for responsiveness. Now let's look at these one after the other. The meta tag takes attributes. One of the attributes we are going to look at is the char set attribute. Now the char set attribute defines the character encoding of the document. Now in HTML5, the default character encoding is UTF-8, which is written like this, UTF-8. Now, UTF-8 covers almost all the characters and symbols that exist. And so we have another attribute called the name attribute. And so we use meta name is equal to, the value depends on what you want to do. Now, if you want to use it to describe a web page, we are going to write meta name is equal to description. Now, if we want to use it to describe or to provide keywords for search engines, we'll have meta name is equal to keywords. If we want to use it to provide the name of the author, we have meta name is equal to author. If we want to use it to take control of the viewport, we use meta name equal to viewport. Now, all of these meta tags with the name attribute are not complete. We have not given the name we have not given the value to this meta element. And the way we give the value is by using another attribute called the content attribute, written like this, content. Now the content attribute provides the value for the name attribute. Now, description, we want to give a description to this page. So let's say the content is going to be course 2. We want to provide keywords for search engine, and the content is equal to, let's say, PHP, let's say MySQL. So you can list as many keywords as you desire. And then if you want to provide the name of the author, so content is equal to, I'll put my name, Mildred. If you want to take control of the viewport, you put content equal to. Now for responsiveness, we use content is equal to width. Width equal to device width, written like this, a comma, and then we have the initial scale, written like this, is equal to 1.0. Now we are going to be looking at this meta viewport in detail when we get to responsive web design. But what the width equal to device width part does is that it sets the width of the page depending on the width of that's the screen width of the device, and the initial scale equal to 1.0 sets the initial zoom level when the page is first loaded by the browser. And so we have meta name is equal to description, and the description is equals to keywords, and we have keywords, and the content attribute is what holds the value for the name attribute. We also have another attribute for the meta tag called HTTP equiv, written like this. HTTP equiv, written like this. Now, what the HTTP equiv attribute does is that it helps to apply settings in form of HTTP response headers. Now, the value it takes depends on what you want to use it for. We can use it to set cookies, to refresh a page. Now I want to use it to refresh this page. Let's say I want to refresh the page after every 5 seconds. Now, it also takes the content attributes that provides the value for the HTTP equiv attribute. And I will say content equal to 5, which means that the page should refresh every 5 seconds. So these are basically the meta elements that we will be using in this course. So when I save this and I go to my web page and I refresh, nothing changes, but take note that this page will refresh every 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, you'll see that the page is going to blink. So watch the refresh button to see that it blinks every 5 seconds. So that is how we use the meta tag to refresh a page. In the next lesson, we are going to be looking at the body element in detail. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.